Hi, Eleanor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
I'm so excited. I've been really looking forward to this interview. You have demonstrated such an amazing arc of success over the past couple of years that I've known you, and just huge transformation. And so I'm really excited to kind of dive in and take our listeners through your journey. Do you mind if we do that?
No, of course. I'm very excited to share.
Okay, amazing. So let's just start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about how you got into business in the first place and what that business originally looked like.
Yeah, of course. So I started out life as a freelance designer straight from art college. I dabbled in lots of different creative roles, from prints for fashion to illustration and book design and everything in between. And then in 2012, I set up my design agency, Number 75 Design, with my husband, Matt, who I met at art college. And that's where it all started.
And you and Matt were both creatives?
Yeah, so I started off in fashion and he trained as an illustrator, graphic designer. So we had lots of different skill sets and they seemed to go together really well. We ended up kind of collaborating on a lot of things anyway. And so it seemed like the natural progression. And it meant that I could have more control over his calendar if I was the one managing it.
And you have 3 children, is that right?
Yes.
How old are
3
they?
children. Oh my gosh. So my eldest is nearly 19 and then I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old going on 35. Yeah.
Wow. So a bustling house with 3 kids. You guys own this business together. When did you start the business?
So we started in 2012. So we've been doing it for 12 years now. And we were doing lots of different things at the time when we decided to make the business. But we really didn't kind of concentrate on branding and website design until just before COVID. So we were dabbling in it a little bit, but then COVID hit. Everyone suddenly needed a brand and a website and online presence. And that's where it really, really took off.
Really? Okay. So
Yeah.
COVID did good things for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we thought, we got the big pool out. We thought we were going to have a summer at home. And then all of a sudden, it all flooded in, homeschooling 3 kids at the same time. And so that's where it all really, really, really took off. So we decided to kind of concentrate all of our efforts there.
Wow. Okay, so it's about 2020 summer. You've been in business for a while, but you refocus on the branding and website space.
Yeah.
And you were getting lots of clients. Sounds like it was going pretty well. Tell us a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, it was going really well. We were getting projects coming in left, right, and center. We had some retainer clients. It was going really, really well on the surface. And underneath the surface, we were really, really struggling with the amount of work that we had, with keeping scope of the projects. We were constantly chasing clients who would disappear for like weeks and months on end. We had one project that went on for like 2 years that had started before then, and there was just not enough hours in the day. We looked at taking on employees, but didn't really want to go down that road because we wanted to do the creative stuff. We wanted to be the ones who were working with the clients and doing all of that side of it. And yeah, so it looked like it was really successful, but we were drowning, completely drowning.
Wow. So everybody's dream scenario that you decide to have this business and you are inundated with clients and projects didn't end up being all it was cracked up to be.
No, like we were working literally every evening, weekends, juggling the kids, and we'd hit a ceiling with prices. There was only so much money you could charge for a logo, and there was no way to I couldn't see how we could grow this business without falling into the trap of taking on employees and becoming managers and that sort of thing. And we just didn't want to do it. And then things got really bad when Matt ended up having a huge panic attack and ended up being carted off to hospital in an ambulance because we just hit burnout, and that was it. Everything had to change.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, that's already hard for a business owner. And then on top of that, you have 3 kids that you're taking care of.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. And it's hard to kind of because you feel like you should be really grateful for the amount of work that's coming in and you should just kind of do it. And I've always been a worker. Like, I got my first job when I was 14. I quickly got another one. I paid for myself to get through university. As soon as I left, I went and moved out and got another job. You know, I've always been the one who made things happen and got us out of problems. And I was the one who needed to kind of solve this problem. There was no one else to fall back on. And I just didn't know what to do.
It sounds like if you have that worker mentality, which I do too, so I can relate, it's like work more. Like, is that how I solve this? But you can only work so much. I mean, it sounds like you're working every minute you could.
Yeah, that's literally where we got to. Like, there's what else can we do apart from just work more to get the work done? Because we'd hit the ceiling on the prices that we could charge. We'd taken as many clients as we could possibly take. We'd committed to these things for these clients that we'd said we'd do. We did work with a few other freelancers. Didn't go brilliantly because we ended up then redoing some of the stuff that they were doing, pay them double that, you know, what we would have charged for it. And it just wasn't working. And in fact, for a few months, Matt left the business and went and got a little part-time job and just kind of just left it for a bit because we were just so fed up of it all and it just wasn't working.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely exhausting. I didn't know to the extent of that story when we first chatted. I believe it was December of 2021. The years blend together. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you actually came to like a session that I did, and then we ended up chatting for a while. Do you remember what that was like? I know you came and you were interested, but you were like, I don't know about this.
I mean, I had definitely done my homework beforehand, so I can't remember how I came across your book, but I read your book and it literally was like speaking to all of those problems that I was going through. It was like you were literally in my head. And it was at that point where I was like, something's got to change. Somebody's got to help me. I don't know what to do. And then reading your book was like a lifeline. So it was a no-brainer that we needed to be in that community and we needed your knowledge and those tools to be able to turn things around. But being somebody who'd always kind of got themselves through and we were kind of living a bit on the edge at that point, it was a scary, huge investment that I'd never, ever, ever done in my business before. It just wasn't something that I'd ever done. So it was massively out of my comfort zone. Even though I knew it needed to happen, it did take a lot of soul searching, a couple of sleepless nights. The thing, I'm not a risk taker. I need a cast iron guarantee that if I'm going to do something, it's going to go right. And there wasn't that 100% guarantee. Like there never is, what I tell my clients now. But that was how my brain was wired then. And it was hard to do, but it was terrifying. But it was also the start of like a much bigger journey for how I kind of now approach things.
Was I your first business coach?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. A group of people who I'm their first business coach. I love that. So that is an even bigger leap because you never even had experienced having somebody kind of lead you. You've been figuring out on your own the whole time.
Yeah, totally. And through some of the work that we've done in this program as well, and I've kind of unpicked some of that, and I now know where that comes from. I now understand that need in me to be the one who's kind of in control, who does everything, who's the perfectionist, and I don't delegate easily. And because I've had to do that my entire life, it was really hard to let go of that and to trust somebody else it literally was with the future of my business and the thing that was going to kind of keep our family going. It was our ship, and I felt that decision, it was my decision. And if it went wrong, it was on me. And if it all went down, it would be my fault. That's how I felt at the time. So it was,
Jeez,
I mean, no pressure,
heavy.
But it was,
That's really heavy.
Yeah. That's how my brain worked.
That's big stuff. Well, then how did you possibly do that? How did you pull the trigger on that?
There was no other option. Like, Matt had been in hospital and I didn't know what to do. I knew that things had to change. So I just went for it. And, I believed you. I believed everything that I read in your book, and I'd been listening to your podcast. And I knew that if anything was going to sort our challenges out, this was going to be it. So we just had to do it.
Wow. Okay, well, that's a big leap for somebody with your perspective and previous experience to take. So what happened? What was that first year like? Because we're talking about a couple of years now. So, we'll talk about the later years which are fresher in my mind, right? But do you remember what those first shifts were? What do you remember standing out most in that first year?
Oh, that first year was mind-blowing. The way that we changed how we work with clients. So before, we were giving away all of this strategy as just kind of chats or ideas of things that they needed to do. And we had no kind of structure for that. We had no way to help, and they weren't benefiting from that. And the way that we were working, Matt and I, our internal processes, but then also how we were working with clients, it was just so fluffy, and we just were feeling our way. And the work that we were doing was good, and we always came up with the solution that they needed, but the journey to get there was painful a lot of the time. So by having some really clear processes and some strategies to be able to get the best out of the way that we work, and to be able to give our clients the best experience, it just changed everything. So now when we work with a client, there's little to no changes at all in the work that we do, because of the way that we've created that relationship with them in the first place by going through that LP process. By the time we've gone through that, we're almost friends by then. We're sad to see the back of our clients now, not cheering when we finished a project. And it's enjoyable now. It's a really nice experience. We're really proud of the work that we do, rather than it just being something that we have to do because it's our job.
Wow, what a change. Tell me more about your experience implementing the LP process, because I talk about this process all the time, but they can hear it from me 5 ways from Sunday. What was the experience of selling something that I believe you had never sold before? Was that scary? Were you worried people wouldn't buy it? Or how did you feel about that in the beginning?
Yeah, it was completely different to the way that we did things. But, I was going all in with everything that you were all those tools that you were giving us and everything that you were saying worked. I was just going to do it and follow the process. So I started off small. I didn't charge very much at all at the beginning, but I really quickly saw the value that this piece of, this session and this piece of magic, this strategy that the clients can see before they've even got into a project. They can see their future laid out before them, and the possibilities and the opportunities that they've not been able to see before. It's incredible. It's so valuable. For me, it's the most valuable part of the project. And then the deliverables are just the tools to implement it. It's 100%. It's everything. It's everything that they need.
Hold on. I just want to highlight what you just said, because I think that is something that can only truly be understood once you've done it. That the part that is the most value to the client is the part that most people are giving away. And they're giving it away very unofficially in little conversations and chats here and there. And everybody thinks that the value is the deliverable, and that is valuable. But once you do it a different way like this, I've had the same experience. I'm like, oh, by the time we get to it, it's like, yeah, here's your website. This is what it should be. This is your brand. We don't even really need to talk about it. It's obviously this. And it's like a complete 180 from how I think most people approach it.
Yeah, totally. And not only are you kind of finding all those necessary bits and pieces that they need to know to be able to progress with their business, and that you need to know to be able to create the best solution for them, but you find all of this kind of hidden gold that you would never find if you just did it the old way of doing things. I remember having clients who would come to visit us in our studio, and we would end up talking all this strategy at them, and they just wouldn't get it because it was just a chat, and they wouldn't know what to do with it and how to implement it. But by structuring it in this way, they've got that. as like a document. Ours is called the blueprint. So it literally is the blueprint to where they're going to take the next chapter of their business. But so many times we've been in a blueprint session and you think it's going one way, and then all of a sudden they have this revelation, or they suddenly see something in a way that they've never seen it before, and you can literally see the light bulb go off. And this whole new door opens up for them, this whole new like way of working and opportunities. And that's happened so many times for us that they've then kind of looked at different revenue streams, or putting themselves out there in a completely different way, or open themselves up to new markets that they never would have dreamed of kind of going for. It's literally, it's changed the game for us, but more so for our clients. It's been amazing.
I love that you said that. I think that's another thing, that you don't know what you don't know if you're not asking the questions, right? Like, so if you're not doing some sort of process like this, then you'll never know that the client actually needed this other thing, or there was like this other opportunity that never got uncovered because you're just doing the project the way the client told you to do the project, or the client said, I need 1, 2, and 3, and then you just did those 3 things, and 4, 5, and 6 are over here, and nobody talked about them because we forgot to even ask. Such a great point. Okay, so your process is different, your sales process is different. I don't know how far you are outside of London. You're in England, you're in the UK.
We're in the middle. We're right in the middle.
Okay.
No one knows.
Lincolnshire. Okay, so I know that this hasn't even necessarily gone away completely at all, but I know that something that you were concerned about when we first spoke was, but not here. Like, okay, maybe in the US, but not here. Was that true? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, nobody does it like this here. This is brand new. It's a revelation. It blows people's minds. And I must say, there are some people that I speak to on a fit call, and as soon as I explain the way that we do things, they immediately don't want to work with us. They want to do it like apprentice style and have us as the robots that put their vision into process, and they want to do stuff the way they want to do stuff. And that's absolutely fine, because that's not who we're going to be able to do our best work for. So, but I didn't think it would kind of take off the way that it has, and it would have the impact that it's had for us and for our clients.
So are you saying that US or UK, people still like a process that makes it easier for them?
Yeah, apparently it crosses the boundaries. Yeah, crosses over. Yeah, we like it simple and clear.
Yeah, who doesn't like it simple and clear? And by the way, there are people in the US who also don't want to do this process. It's just certain people want to spend a lot of time doing stuff because I don't know why. Probably because they're not seasoned enough in business to realize how important their time is. That's my guess. Maybe not all of them, but definitely some people. Okay, so we've been talking about the process, right? And the process has been working for you. It's made everything a lot easier. But you've still been pretty centered around your location. And I want to hear a little bit more about what you've done over the past couple of years to kind of grow that presence, because I feel like you've become a bit of a local celebrity. If I'm understanding it right. Has your people knowing you and your presence kind of grown in Lincolnshire in the last couple of years? And how so?
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln is a brilliant city because it's like a big city in a small framework. So we've got everything that the bigger cities have. We've got the same amount of talent. We've got a brilliant university that has got so many creative students coming out of it year after year, and it's growing. But it's also really small, so everybody knows everybody. So I grew up here, moved away, went to London, lived the high life, got sucked back again. And everyone knows everyone, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. But for my business, it's great because word of mouth is brilliant. The projects that we're doing are the best projects we've ever done since we've been working in this way, because we're so creative with our projects now, because we're only working with one person at a time. We totally get immersed in it. We understand exactly what they need, and we can really go for it without worrying about kind of, going off for a bit and then losing the train of thought or losing that inspiration. So that's really great.
It's a small town, so you guys already know each other quite a bit, but I feel like you've done some things to center yourself a little bit. I mean, you have this networking thing that you've been doing? Tell me a little bit about the different ways that you have made sure that everybody knows what you're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, it all came from the way that we work with clients now means that we're all friends at the end of it. We all get on really well. And it was a couple of years ago, it came to Christmas time. And for 10 years, Matt and I, for our Christmas party, we've gone to the local pub and we've sat and had like half a pint in the corner and gone, woohoo, this is our Christmas party. So we decided to set up a community that we can do those sorts of things with, have the office kind of fun without, when you run your own business, you don't have that work tribe the way that you do when you run your own business as you do when you work for a company. So we decided to set that up, and that has been a brilliant way for us to, enjoy our time working as a small business, but also become really, really connected with a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs and go-getters in our town and beyond. And I think also we do things a little bit differently. So our networking events are a little bit different to everyone else's. We went axe throwing, or we'll go for pizza, and we're not allowed to use the term networking. It's a banned, bad word. A lot of my clients tend to be people similar to me, and they feel a little bit, maybe they're kind of a bit introverted, and that's a big challenge for them. So it's just a nice space to come. But yeah, it means that we can stay connected to lots of people where we are.
That's amazing. So I love that you kind of centered yourself in the community, because when you're the person hosting the party, everybody knows who you are, and it kind of elevates you in everybody's mind. So here are all these clients out there, you having branded their business, like having their websites out there, and now you're also the one hosting the party, hosting the events that people are coming to. I just love that you guys did that, especially as an introvert, which brings me to the past year. So Eleanor, when you first came, so we had our first in-person retreat in 2023, May 2023. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you and Matt coming over to New York City was kind of a big thing because you had to leave your three kids, right?
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. And I remember you kind of talking about that experience and feeling like a little, I don't know, uneasy. You tell me. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that I've struggled with the dreaded imposter syndrome for many, many, many years. And I'd be lying to say that it's completely gone and that, I don't still struggle with that. But I just see things in a different way now. But when I joined the program, and that was very, very much how my head worked. That was part of the reason that I was holding back a little bit from really getting stuck in, because I thought, well, I'm not like everyone else in here. I'm not good enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not loud enough. I'm not out there enough. I don't know how to do X, Y, Z. I just felt like there was no way someone like me could achieve some of the things that people were achieving. And if I'm honest, I've always felt like that. And I mask it with a sarcastic sense of humour and, put on a bit of a joke and a dance for people at parties and stuff like that. But it's just to hide behind. I don't feel comfortable speaking in public. The reason I started my community was because I could then do this on my terms and not have to kind of do things the way that other people wanted to do them. And when we came to New York, even though I had done so much on the program by then and I'd achieved so much within that first year, some of the successes that I had, I couldn't believe what we'd achieved. But I still, in person, being in a room with these incredibly talented, just insightful, brilliant brains and business owners, it felt a lot. It felt like I probably shouldn't be there. I was in the wrong place, and I put on a brave face, but I came away from New York feeling a bit disappointed in myself and a bit like I'd not made the most of the opportunity and let myself down a little bit, which is something else I do. I tell myself off a lot. Another thing I'm learning not to do. But to be honest, going through that was part of the catalyst for me thinking, right, I'm not doing this anymore. This is BS. I'm not not going to do this anymore. And I think one of the brilliant things that we do in No BS is constantly logging those wins and championing each other's successes and marking them and noting them down like every week. What successes have you had this week? What things have gone well? And I think those things I would just let slip by before. But once you see all these little things, and I think those things started all adding up, started giving me the confidence to do slightly bigger things. Doing slightly bigger things gave me the confidence to do even more slightly bigger things. And it was just this, I mean, it's been a long process. It's been like 2-3 years of kind of unpicking this. But it's been the thing that's not only transformed our business, but it's transformed the way that I now go out into the world and who I am and how I see myself. And that has an effect on everyone around me. And it's been huge. I'm a different person now than I was 3 years ago.
From my perspective, it feels like you've become more of yourself. Like it looks like you've just kind of stepped more into who you've always been.
Yeah.
I love, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing these inner thoughts, especially because I know so many people in our community listen to this and also look up to you and see how amazing you are at all the things that you do. And I'm sure some people are listening to this and being like, are you kidding? Like Eleanor feels that way. Like probably doesn't make any sense to them. Even when you kind of shared that with me after that retreat, I remember being like, really? Like I wouldn't have noticed that at all. It's not necessarily visible, these inner feelings. But I do know that you shared that with me. And I do know that when you left New York, you were like, this is like a new start. I feel like did you get a tattoo? Am I forgetting? Am I remembering this?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah. Every time I come to New York, I get a tattoo.
Oh, you did? Okay. Amazing. To commemorate this shift. And I don't remember if it was right after the retreat or when, but it was very soon after the retreat that you went out for and applied for and got this TED Talk. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, it was really soon after that. I came back and I did some soul searching, and we did so much mindset work on that retreat that I took away with me and worked on when I got home, and I carried on that process, and it set the seed in New York, but then it really started to grow when I got home. And yeah, I was like, I'm not going to continue to invest without seeing this change. I think the first year was so impactful for our business, but the second year and beyond, that's been the real change in me and who I am and how I see things. So it was, really soon after the retreat. I remember we had like a quarterly catch up. And I remember saying to you, this is happening in my town. Do you think it's something that I should go for? I'm not really sure if it's me. I'm not really sure if I'm the kind of person. And I remember you saying to me, Eleanor, you're not doing it. You're just applying for it. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. I can apply for a TED Talk. I can do that. And then I got through. Then I thought, well, okay, I can write some notes for a TED Talk. I can do that. And every single stage, I just thought, well, I'll just do the next bit. Literally until the day of doing the TED Talk, I would never tell the organizers of the TED Talk this. I just thought, if the worst happens, I just won't go. I just won't do it. And that kind of gave me enough confidence to just go, well, I'm just going to do this bit today. This bit's not scary. And by the time I got to the stage, it was fine because I was prepared. And I think that experience has taught me so much about how I approach all things now and how I help my clients approach things. Because it's that whole idea of looking at the huge mountain, like it's too much. So by taking those little steps and taking that messy action, it's hard because I'm a perfectionist and a people pleaser and all of those things. So it goes against my natural wiring. But there's been lots of things that I've done over the past few years that I didn't think I could do or I didn't think I could achieve. And every time I've done that, I've thought, well, if I've done that, then what else could I do?
It is incredible. Anyone who's listening, you have to go to the show notes and watch Eleanor's TED Talk. It is so good. What's it called, Eleanor?
It's called The Dilemma of the Timid Trailblazer.
It is so on point for everything that Eleanor is saying. And what was that experience like, being on that stage and giving that talk? And I know Matt was in the audience.
Yeah, Matt and the kids, they were all in the audience, and they told me it would be fine. I won't be able to see anybody, which was a lie. I could see everybody. But I was prepared. I knew my talk. I was confident that I knew it. And in fact, I haven't told anybody this. I did have a bit of a meltdown the day before. And I remember speaking to some friends and they were saying, it's fine, you know it inside out. You know, I'd been doing this talk for the dog for months. Like, I knew it and I knew what I was going to say. And I said, that's not the thing that I'm scared about. The thing that I'm scared about is that it's going to be out there. It's going to be in the world and I'm not going to have control over it anymore. And that was the thing that was terrifying. But it's out there in the world and I'm still alive. So, all's fine.
All's fine.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be that it came out like the day before our next retreat in Miami. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, it was the week before. And on that day that I had the meltdown, the day before, my letter from the previous retreat turned up at my house. And so I read it the morning.
Wait, let's tell everybody what this letter is. So
okay.
I guess it's a kind of a surprise when people are at our retreat, but everyone writes a letter to themselves at the end of the retreat, and then I mail it to people 6 months later. It's like writing a letter to your future self about everything that you're going to do. So anyway, that's the scene. Eleanor's letter arrived right before the retreat to Miami, right after she did this TED Talk, right before.
So it came just before, so I read it the day of the TED Talk.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
It was, emotional. Because it took me right back to where I was, 6 months before. And I was in a good place in the start of a journey, but I could never have imagined where I would be 6 months later. But it was, emotional.
It was so incredible from this end to have been with you in New York and then see you 6 months later having applied for, gotten, and filmed your TED Talk and had it come out and then come back to Miami. Like, it was truly, again, I don't know that you were a different person. It was just like, wow, Eleanor really is standing, 5 inches taller now. Like, just your whole affect was so different. How did it feel to be in Miami 6 months later and to experience that, or even to be that person in the room?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't from a perspective of check me out, I've done a TED Talk. Although I did drop it in every conversation. Just in case, just in case anyone didn't know. But it was more that because I came away from the last retreat feeling like I wasn't myself, and then I was going to the next retreat completely myself, having done things that I didn't think I was capable of doing before, and just feeling really proud and feeling inspired and excited about the next thing. There's been so many that has inspired me to do so many other little things in my life. I came away from that retreat, it was the getting rid of all the bullshit. That was everything. Everything's gone that's was holding me back. So a lot of mindset shifts, a lot.
Wow. Yeah, truly amazing to have watched this transformation. And then you came again in May to our third retreat in New York. We had 3 retreats, guys. And I know even leaving your kids to come, and yet you've been coming and showing up for yourself, which I feel like in and of itself, I've been so excited that you have done that. Because I know it's kind of a big deal to leave your 3 kids and poor Matt to wrangle them.
Poor Matt. I think a couple of them didn't even notice I was gone. They're teenagers. I know that food went missing, so I know they were there. But part of that mindset shift as well was, I'm not the kind of person who does this. I'm not the kind of person who would do that. What would people think if I went to the States 3 times in a year? How awful would that be? And now I just think, Well, how amazing is that, that my business and my life allows me that experience, and I get so much from it for my business, for my clients. Everyone's had a Brooklyn inspired brand since I've been back. I'm leading by example, I suppose, especially for my kids. You know, I'm showing them what they can achieve, what they should be aspiring to. It's not just about working to pay for your life. It's about living your life whilst you're working and enjoying it, finding all of the joy and the experiences in that. And that, yeah, I'm really proud that I can do that. And it makes me a better person to see the biggest stuff that's out there and bring that back and come back with new ideas and new perspectives and bring that back to my clients, to my family, and move forward with it.
That's so beautiful. And it reminds me of something you said. It was the last day of our last retreat this past May, and you were like about to leave, but you shared a little story with me. I hope you don't mind that I'm asking you this.
I can't remember what it is. So.
It was about your daughter and her assignment.
Yeah. So, I mean, she would be devastated. I can never, ever let her listen to this. But she had to write a story or a piece, an article at school for English on who her hero was. And she wrote it about me. And I know. And she's also, on top of that, a couple of weeks ago, she came to us for work experience and she spent a week with us. And she, you know, because she sees what we're doing, she sees the lifestyle that we're creating for ourselves. And, you know, we're doing it on our own terms and she wants a bit of that. And, you know, I remember saying to you, it's not just people's businesses that you're changing, Pia, with this program. It's, you know, that's the deliverable. But, you know, the huge impact that I've taken from it, and then my family are taking from it, and then, you know, they're going to go on their perspectives that we're kind of giving them, that they're going to go on and take to other people. It's this huge ripple effect. It's an incredible thing to be part of. It's a really amazing thing that you've created.
Well, I just so appreciate you saying that, and it's the reason that I do this is for that ripple effect. So it just meant so much to me that you shared that with me. And what's your daughter's name?
Eva. She's going to kill me.
Eva, don't kill your mother. It is the most badass thing I've ever heard that you wrote your report about your mom, because she is a badass and she should be your hero. So I think you should wear that loud and proud.
Thank you.
I think it's just been incredible what you've done. I think it's still hard for even me to hear the inner dialogue that you're dealing with and to make it make sense with all the things that you show up and do. And you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then you keep doing the thing. And like, that's where confidence comes from. That's what my TED Talk was about. Do the thing, even if you're scared. And that's where your confidence will come from. And you're just like such a shining example of that, Eleanor. And I'm just so, so grateful that you have been a part of our community. And I've been able to be a part of your journey, because it's just been absolutely incredible. It's what gets me so excited about this program and my whole experience in this too. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know where we'd be now if we hadn't made that leap. So thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. And thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your story so vulnerably. I know that other people can relate to that. And I can certainly relate to all kinds of parts. You said that I was reading your mind. Well, that's because I also did that and also had all of those awful experiences. So just speaking from experience. Eleanor, thank you so, so much for joining me and continuing to be such a leader and inspiration inside the No BS community. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pia.